this weird announcement came out. Like Shams was reporting that the league decided to send a memo to all of the teams in the NBA about Damian Lillard.
Right.
We were hearing he wants a trade, and he's been insisting that it can only be the Heat. So they sent a memo saying that he could face discipline if he continues with the Miami-only trade demand. So here to help us talk about that is our friend of the show, Kurt Helin. Kurt, I don't know what to make of this, because I've never seen something like this. So when I first saw it, I was like, what is this? And why is the league? Because he's certainly not the first player to do this. So why did the league come down in this way?
First off, this is the one and only time, Natalie, I am wearing a Warriors shirt just for you on one of these.
I was just going to say, can I shout that out? Love that shirt. Shout out to that shirt. I wanted to make sure we didn't interrupt that, but yes.
Yeah. The league got involved, and I talked with somebody at the league after I was writing my story about this. It's less for them about the reports that he only wants to go to Miami, because like you said, not only have multiple players done that in the past, including James Harden right now trying to get to the Clippers, but that's not something they see they can control. What the league was more concerned about was the reports going around that Aaron Goodwin had talked to all these teams to try to scare them off. And part of that was him saying, or reports were that he was saying, hey, I don't know if you're going to get a great effort. I don't know if you're going to get peak Damian Lillard. If you trade for him, he might be disruptive, which doesn't seem very Damian, but that was what the league's concern was. It's specifically pointed out in the memo. If you read the entire thing, which I got a copy of, they say at one point, hey, we spoke to Damian Lillard, we spoke to Aaron Goodwin. They both said if he is traded somewhere else, he will show up. He will fulfill his contract. He will play hard. I don't know that was ever really in doubt with Dame, but I think they were trying to scare teams off of that, because that sets a precedent that scares the league.
Yeah. I mean, look, I thought his demands, to be quite frank, were a little bit ridiculous. And I was just like, I mean, like, you're under contract, like you don't really have any leverage here. And everyone keeps talking about his loyalty. Right. And I'm like, he paid for his loyalty. It's not like loyalty without like blind loyalty. So it was just interesting to see. I wonder how that was received, but we'll continue to monitor that situation. Do you think a trade is still going to happen?
Yes, very well. By the way, very good job of the John Hamm. That's what the money's for meme. Like, you did that well. It was. There will be a trade. I think if you're Portland, think about it. Do you really want to go into camp with turning the page to Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe and what you believe is the next era? Do you want to go into that with the circus that it would be, frankly, if Damian Lillard shows up? And not that Damian, again, he could show up and be the most professional guy ever, which is probably what he'd do, but it would be a mess because everybody knows the situation. So they would like to turn the page. I think the problem is NBA, WNBA, NFL, whatever sport we're talking about, nothing gets done until there's a deadline, till there's pressure to get something done. So I think when we get closer to camp, you'll see a third team jump in. They'll find a deal. It will not be what Portland hoped for, but it won't be terrible. And they'll just kind of get a deal done.
Okay. So
you make a really good point about, go ahead, Nat.
Sorry, yeah, I was going to say there was a NBA interview that occurred that had NBA Twitter buzzing so much that it even had you writing about it, Kurt, because Dr. J put out a top 10 list that really didn't look anything like most people's top 10 list. And so it was fun. It was good. But now a lot of people have comments about it. And the person who conducted that interview was Joy D'Angela. And so Joy, can you come on and talk to us? Because you get Dr. J to talk to you about this. And why do you have Twitter, NBA Twitter, and everyone going crazy with this interview? Welcome to the show, by the way, Joy.
Thank you. Honestly, listen, I didn't expect all this to happen. I was just talking to, Dr. J is like family to me at this point, because I'm working with the Big Three. He's one of the coaches in the Big Three. So it was just like a casual conversation. I didn't expect his top 10 list to look like that. But he seemed pretty unapologetic about it. Like, he seems like he does not care what people think. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. He's Dr. J at the end of the day. But I was shocked here and there. But you know, it's his list, so can't argue with him. But yeah, I did expect once the interview was done and I went back and watched it, I said, okay, like the top 10 list is gonna definitely get people talking for sure. And yeah, it did. I didn't expect it to go this viral, but yeah, you never know with social media. So,
well, Zena, you said you respect your elder, but you don't respect Dr.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what your thoughts
I
on
do.
this.
I don't. You know, Trae Young he literally did the same thing as I felt like. With all due respect, Dr. J, I thought the caveat that he made that everyone needs to have their career finished was an interesting one, because just because your career isn't finished doesn't mean that you haven't transformed the game. So that was an interesting one. And then the other thing was there were some people that have finished their career that have changed the game, and he didn't list. I was like, where is Shaq? Where's Kobe? Where's Larry Bird? Right? Like, you know what I mean? There's so many that I was just like, wait, what? And then I also have just like personal feelings on some people that just because you changed the game, quote unquote, or you were a good basketball player, to me, I guess it depends on how you ask them the question, like top 10 of all time basketball players just on the court. Because there are some people that I would have left off because I would not want them representing the NBA. But that's another conversation for another day. But either way, I'm like, this list doesn't feel complete. So I was curious if you pushed back on him on that.
Yeah, I was honestly shocked. Because when I went back and watched, I thought he named Kobe. But when I realized, I said, wait, he didn't name Kobe. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, like I do want to follow up with him because I see him every week. I low-key want to follow up with him when we go to Charlotte for the Big Three and say, hey, like, did you mean to leave off Kobe? Or was that like, because people have brain farts and stuff like that when it comes to lists. I do all the time. But I did follow up with Steph because I think he was doing like he was kind of separating them in like teams. So he had a first team and a second team. And I said, okay, like he already named Magic, so he named Tiny Archibald. And I said, well, where's Steph at? Like, you're not gonna name Steph in Tiny's position? And he didn't. He was like, he said, no, he doesn't. He what did he say? He said, no, he hasn't done enough yet or something like that. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I was shocked. My all-time list will look different, but it is what it is. So.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.